it was cold. It was raining off and on the entire morning. I know these 11 a.m. kickoffs can be difficult for families that have activities with their children. So again, I thought we had a great crowd, and certainly want to thank them and appreciate. Say again, I appreciate them coming out and supporting us today. What I just told our student athletes is this: when you play a really good football program, and I believe we are a good football program, and you make too many mistakes, it's hard to win football games, and you don't give yourself as much of an opportunity, as much of a chance to be successful. And that starts with me. I made mistakes. Our coaches made mistakes. Our trainers, managers, everybody made mistakes today, and our student athletes did as well. So, we'll learn from this video, get them corrected. Again, we've got a talented SMU team coming in here on Friday for our last regular season game. But, I certainly don't want to take anything away from Coach Tuberville and his program. Again, Brennan Kay is certainly one of the top quarterbacks in the country, again, a sixth-year senior. And they've got very talented, skilled guys. And I thought their defensive line and offensive line did an excellent job this morning and this afternoon as well. So there's a number of reasons at this point of the season. They're 9-2, and again, I'm proud of our effort. I thought our student athletes played extremely hard. I think our defense was on the field over almost 37 minutes, and again against a talented, well-coached Cincinnati offense. But again, at the end of the day, too many mistakes by everybody in our program to beat a team of that caliber.
Tony, on that final play, John think that he get back up to the line for another play, or was it just a matter of not looking at the clock with no timeout? Really
none of the above, to be honest with you. It's a mistake we can't make, and it's part of the learning process. That type of situation, we're out of timeouts, and we've got to throw the ball beyond the first down yardage to get to, or if we throw it short, we've got to be certain that we can make a first down and or get out of bounds. Again, we had 10 seconds left, no timeouts, and feel like you got a chance for two more plays. We got to throw the ball past the first down marker, and then with the rule this year, if there's 3 seconds left, we can snap it and execute a play, and if there's less than 3, if there's 3 seconds left or more, you can actually kill it. If there's less than 3, you're gonna have to take the snap and run a play, and we had that already communicated. But again, it's a smart play by them when they tackle them to lay on them until the clock runs out. So.
Tony, you had Greg play most of the second half, and you went to John for that last drive. What was the thing there you thought maybe John had a better chance with his arm to get you down the field?
No, it's not so much arm, and in as much as it is when we split the reps in practice, and in particular the last 2 weeks with Greg rotating in practice some quarterback and receiver. We just felt like John had repped some of those plays in that situation more, and would have just obviously thought he gave us a better chance considering the situation.
On the move itself, though, early in the third quarter, just looking for a spark there.
Yeah, those were my exact words. Yeah, and felt like putting Greg into the game did give us that spark offensively.
It's kind of 3 consecutive games. I know it's been against good defenses, but the offense hasn't been, able to put up the same type of numbers it was. What
Mm-hmm.
the defense has been doing?
Well, it's a combination of a number of things, and again, in no particular order, we have played 3 very, very good defenses the last 3 games. Again, I think some situations have been a little bit different. I talked about losing Deontay in the Louisville game, basically for the entire game. We had some execution things that weren't as clean as you'd like. Again, I thought Cincinnati's defensive line, in particular, really played well. So it's a combination of things. And you saw Deontay out there hobbling around, but still wanting to play in the game today. So, we'll certainly go back and evaluate what we did offensively and look toward another talented team in SMU.
And they try some different things on defense, even McMillan and safety. What kind of, was that some different type of formation y'all were trying?
No, we've Zach has played actually some safety in certain situations this season in our nickel package, and so it's something he's done. And again, based on how much we anticipated him throwing the football and how much nickel we would be in, it's something again that we had done up to this point this season in practice every week. Hadn't always used it. I want to say in 3 or 4 games up to now we had, and then again, that was obviously the game plan. A big part of our game plan defensively going in.
So the early fumble kind of killed that opening drive,
Mhm.
and the second fumble sets them up there. I'm going to guess that those are some of the mistakes you were talking about, but just the timing of those kind of shifted momentum or took it away.
No, and I agree with Ed. And football is a game of momentum, and again, I've heard this before, well, I'll say this: the first one is just an execution error that again we had. I'm going to say you can't have, but we've done a great job all season taking care of the football on offense. So that's uncharacteristic of what we had done, and sometimes I think as a coach, while you don't like to live turning the ball over, I think sometimes you can live with a great hit by a defender or a great diving interception by a defensive back. When you just have an execution error and in essence hand them the football, it's certainly as you start the game, wanting to start fast, drive down the field, get confidence. We're in field goal range, take a lead, and again, in essence, in my mind, just hand Cincinnati the football. That is a big play in the game, and it certainly does change momentum at that point.
Tony, I know Deontay was hobbled, and I could see him moving around the field. How much did his injury and then also the field conditions affect how he was playing and how you sent him out there to play? Well,
someone rolled up on his lower leg during the game today. And again, I don't want to talk about the field conditions because obviously Cincinnati played on the same field we did. But when you got one of the top receivers in the nation who runs a 4.4 in the 40. Playing through some pain, and again, I talked to him on the sideline. Said, "If you can't go, you can't go." And he said, "No, I'm fine." And was hobbling around a little bit. But when he runs a 4.4, and he is out there running probably a 5.4, battling through some stiffness in his lower leg. Certainly it does affect him. It affects timings of the routes, but I think it also tells you a little bit about, the competitive nature of our student athletes. I mean, we've seen guys like that all season, and again, I do want to say if a young man's injured, we don't play him. Deontay said, I'm fine, it's a little stiff, but I'm loose, I'm playing, he's running around. He caught some key balls at the end, so. But going back to your original question, does it affect him? Absolutely, it does.
So that first touchdown, was it a coverage blown?
Yes. Yeah, it was blown coverage.
And then, you knew coming in what Kay was capable of doing. They like to spread it around. Really, it looked like 2 receivers were where he did a lot of his damage with Washington and McClung. But was it a matter of giving up some of those shorter passes, and it didn't look like they hit you deep. It just they nickeled and dimed it when they had to, or kept the drives going.
Yeah, in a couple things, and again, not to stand up here certainly and disagree with you a little bit. I think Brendan Kay is experienced enough and certainly very talented. I don't know. He spreads, in my opinion, Joseph. He spreads the ball around really, really well. For Shaq Washington and McClung to have those kind of numbers, whether it was by design or those guys continued to make plays in their passing game. But I did feel like Brendan does a nice job on video, and I thought he did even today, going from his primary read to his secondary and sometimes his third read. And again, not to belabor the point, but I did feel like, especially in the first half, we did give up some big plays in the passing game that we hadn't with them throwing the ball down the field.
I mean, this was, a lot of your losses have been about a touchdown or less. Is there anything you tell the team not to get, sort of doesn't affect their mentality when they're out there in the field? Or, I mean, I know it's better than not getting blown out, but is there a way to keep, keep them from being too down over the way they're losing?
You're talking about during the game or from week to week?
Week to week, yeah.
Well, I think, a couple things. One is it goes back to what I mentioned when I came out, kind of what I told them, our student athletes after the game is we got to clean up the mistakes. And when we watched this video, again, everybody in that locker room was unhappy, certainly after the game just now. But when you watch this video, we're going to see mistakes that we made, whether they were coaches, student athletes, that we've got to get corrected to be successful. And again, especially when you're playing a program like Cincinnati. The other part of that, just within the game, and this is something I think we've done a good job of this year, is I've heard, again, I've been coaching 18 years, and you hear about, we should start fast. Why don't we start fast? And I'm not just talking about our program, but I've heard that now. You hear it all the time, and a game lasts 3.5 hours or so, and I think we've done a good job as a staff of number one, making adjustments throughout the game, particularly at halftime. And again, I'm not necessarily referencing today as much as I'm referencing your question, and over the course of the entire season. And two, I think we've done a nice job of on the sidelines staying poised and confident and calm, because no matter who we're playing, whether it's a top 20 team or a 1AA opponent, they've got coaches, they've got student athletes on scholarship, they game plan during the week, they're going to make plays, and we're going to make plays. And when you've got the highs and the lows, I think on the sideline, I'm not just talking about coaches, every staff member on the sideline needs to be confident and poised, because it's such a long event that you can't get too high if you get up too early, and you certainly can't get too low if you get down at the beginning of the game. So, again, we've played 11 games to this point. We've played some talented competition. Again, I think I think our student athletes recognize that they can play with the programs in the American Athletic Conference, and we've got one more opportunity at home in 6 days. I just told them we've got 16 young men in our program, 14 seniors, a young man who's graduating in a couple weeks and already has a job lined up, and another young man that can no longer play the sport of football, that are going to be recognized before our next game for the final time in front of their hometown fans and alumni and student body, and we'll learn from these mistakes tomorrow in our meetings, and then we got to move on to SMU.
Coach, I know running game couldn't really get it going. What were they doing that was stopping them?
Well, I mean, a couple things, and again, it goes back to what I maybe hinted at 10 minutes ago. So I give a lot of credit to Cincinnati's defensive line and their linebackers, their front seven. You look at certainly they're a veteran group. Their linebackers go 252 pounds, are athletic, and we couldn't get anything consistent going in the running game, and to me became a little bit one-dimensional, certainly having to throw the ball the way we did.
How much was the cold affecting things? I know that the first half the defense set you up, you guys go for it on 4th and 18 to take the field goal. Just how much was the cold and the elements affecting things?
Well, the cold didn't have anything to do with the decision to go for it on 4th down there after the turnover. We had a couple of negative plays after that turnover. We had to delay a game, which is inexcusable. And then we had a couple of offensive plays result in negative yards. So in those three plays and the penalty, we went 8 yards the wrong way, and took us out of field goal range because of the distance and the field conditions on that end. So I don't think the cold, Cincinnati, again, we were both out there. Cincinnati's student athletes played in it as well. Last week we went up to Louisville and played there. It was 50 degrees. It was 50 degrees out here today. So you know, I don't think that had anything to do with the outcome. If that's answering your question. You good? All right. Thank you.